Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Pressbox Radio, Bill Furman and Jim Chesko.
It's Wednesday, July 16th, 2025, and the Philadelphia Eagles are still Super Bowl champions, and the Philadelphia Phillies are still in first place. Welcome to the Philly Pressbox Radio Roundtable, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, Cavs, Philly, Tailgates, and the STT Sports Network. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight, along with my partner, Jim Chesko. Chet, the Phillies reach the All-Star break, losing 4 of 6 on the West Coast, still lead the NL East by a half a game, and Kyle Schwarber gave us something else to talk about last night. We'll get to that. They come out of the break with 7 straight series against the American League. That will be interesting. Eagles camp is ready to open to begin their defense of Super Bowl 59. Sixers, well, the Sixers. More injury news, and it's only July. And then we got Joel Embiid talking today. More noise coming out of him. Then the Flyers, they continue to sort out their roster as we get ready for the next step for the Fly Boys. We have plenty to talk about in Philly sports.
Yeah, kind of a quiet week, Bill, other than the All-Star
Right.
game and related activities. And, of course, what Kyle Schwarber did late Tuesday night. Like you said, the Phils get back into it Friday night. The Birds are preparing for the start of another training camp, this time as defending Super Bowl 59 champions. And I'm sure we're both going to have lots of glowing comments about those 76ers later on.
Right, for sure. Hey, well, we have a great guest tonight making his very first visit to Philly Pressbox Radio from on Pattison, Anthony SanFilippo, to talk Phillies and Flyers with us.
Yeah, he's a first-timer, but we're both familiar with his work writing for On Pattison and a couple of podcasts that he co-hosts. So it'll be fun to finally get him on here live with us.
Absolutely. And we could talk a lot about the Phillies, but I want to hear some Flyers talk because I think things are going in the right direction, and I hope Ant can lead us down that road.
Get him on here. Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's welcome Anthony SanFilippo to Philly Pressbox Radio. Ant, welcome.
Good to see you, boys. Happy to be here.
Well, it's about time we got you on here. Been following you for a long time, so here we go. Well, we do want to talk some Flyers with you, but we need to start off, of course, with our Fightin' Phils. Here we are at the MLB All-Star break, and first up, I caught some of the Fightin' Words podcast that you host the other day. I heard you, and it sounds like you're not much of a fan right now of either Max Kepler or this year's version of Bryson Stott.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, and I'm a little disappointed in Bryson Stott because if you go back to the beginning of the season when we did our season predictions, I predicted Bryson Stott was ready for a breakout season and he was going to be an all-star on the Phillies, and he just, for whatever reason, it just has not come around this year. His bat speed looks really slow. And last year they gave us the elbow injury as an excuse, and okay, that's fine. I can buy it. But what's the excuse this year? And that's the thing that bothers me a little bit because I do believe that there is a real good major league ball player in there. It just, we haven't seen it since 2023. And so usually you're willing to give a guy a year to a year and a half and say, okay, what's the deal? Okay, now let's get back to where you were. He's at that point now. Like, you have to start showing it now. Otherwise, the Phillies will start thinking about an alternative at second base. As for Kepler, I never thought he was a good fit, more so because he's a left-handed bat than anything else. And I was like, well, you already have that guy and Brandon Marsh. Okay, maybe Kepler hits more home runs, but Marsh is going to get on base more. Why would you go get that guy? He's been worse than I ever thought he was going to be. And I don't know how you keep him now at this point. Like, you're playing Otto Kemp over him against a right-hander in the last game out in San Diego on Sunday. Brandon Marsh is hitting. Like, where are you putting what are you doing with Kepler? Like, it just doesn't make sense. You're only committed to him for the rest of this year. I know it's a $10 million contract or whatever. Like, I'd move on. I'd move on and find a replacement somewhere out there in the trade market.
Yeah, I'm with you on Stott a lot. I think we all thought, and it came out of the Phillies, is they thought he had batting champion ability when he first came up a handful of years ago. And, right now, as you said, they might be thinking about getting ready to move on. It might be time to move on. And I like the heck out of him. I'm just really disappointed. Maybe he's one of those guys that can go in a package if they do something here at the deadline for a reliever. But then are you ready to give Sosa that job? Because I guess it would be him full time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the one thing I can tell you, and I love Edmundo. Like, as a person, his energy that he plays with, he's great for a team. I don't know that he's an everyday player. I think at the times in the past when he's had to kind of fill in because of injuries as an everyday guy, he's good for a little bit, and then he really kind of falls off the table because he gets overexposed. So I'm not ready to give him an everyday job. I think he fits the role that he's in really, really well. I think being that, first guy off the bench for the infield, I think that's a good role for Edmundo Sosa. If you would move on from Stott, boy, that would be a big decision right here in July. Yeah. I don't think they're going to do it. I think that's something that they might do in the offseason. But if you were to do it, let's just say, I'll play the game here and say that they would do it, that would shake up that clubhouse. That would be a big move because Bryson's Bryce Harper's boy. And you're sending a message not just to the clubhouse, but also to your star player that one of your boys is no longer going to be here because we don't think he's good enough.
Well, Anthony, like me, you probably stayed up late, watched the Major League Baseball All-Star game.
Oh, yeah.
A different kind of ending for sure. I didn't even know they were doing that. I didn't know about this swing-off thing, but lo and behold, it was Kyle Schwarber who came to the rescue. 3 swings, 3 home runs. Did he add a few more $1 million to his next contract? And speaking of that, what's going to happen with him and the Phillies, this season or this offseason?
I don't necessarily think that the 3 swings in the gimmick at the end of the All-Star game are going to add to his contract. But I think the season that he's having is certainly going to add to his contract. 30 home runs in the first half. Obviously, only the second Philly to ever do that. Mike Schmidt had 31. I think he's going to get a big number. And it's interesting. I think he wants to be back. I think the Phillies want him back. I kind of look at Kyle Schwarber's situation contract-wise the same way I looked at Aaron Nola's a couple years ago. They didn't get it done in season. They let it kind of get to the offseason where there was a little bit of uncertainty, let them go out and test the free agent waters, see what kind of offers are going to be out there. And then if you feel comfortable saying, hey, we'll give you whatever that best offer is, or maybe even be a little bit better or somewhere in the ballpark, maybe Kyle Schwarber goes, you know what, I'll stay here for a couple million less or whatever the deal is. I think ultimately he will re-sign with the Phillies. But I do think that the path that it's going to follow is the same kind of path that it took with Aaron Nola a couple seasons ago.
Well, you have to hope that Dombrowski didn't watch Hard Knocks because that's what they did with Saquon. That didn't work out so well.
That did not work out well for the Giants. No, it did not.
Speaking of Dombrowski, I think he's under the radar on this one because I think he deserves a lot of blame. I'm going to lay this out for you real quick. Jordan Romano, okay? Yeah. In 2021, he threw 63 innings with a 2.14 ERA. In 22, 64 innings, a 2.11 ERA. Quality guy, right? 2023, 59 innings, 2.90 ERA. Still good. 2024, he gets hurt. Throws 13 2/3, 6.59 ERA. And we go get him thinking we're probably getting the old guy. And I think we got damaged goods because now he's at 33 1/3 innings, a 7.29 ERA. He couldn't get Chet out.
Yes, I think Dave Dombrowski's offseason was underwhelming. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Max Kepler, obviously we already talked about him. Romano has not been good. Luzardo, he's been fine. I mean, if you're going to look at him and say he's your number 4 starter, great. I mean, that's a nice addition. I'm good with that one. But yeah, it was an underwhelming offseason. Here's the one thing where I will defend Dave a little bit. And I think the one thing that's not really been talked about much, guys, and I think at some point it's going to have to be talked about. The Phillies last offseason, all their additions, with the exception of Luzardo, even though he's technically still on 1 year, they're all 1 year deals, right? Luzardo's got ARB years left, but they're all 1 year deals. That tells me something. It tells me that they didn't have the freedom to go out and spend beyond what they're already spending from ownership. Now, it's hard to criticize the owners, John Middleton and his group. It's hard to criticize them when they're spending $300 and some million, and it's the 4th highest payroll in Major League Baseball. It's hard to criticize them. But when you're a team that is as close to a championship caliber team as the Phillies are, and you know what your needs are, and their needs today are no different than they were at the end of the 2024 season, you probably should have said, we'll stretch it a little bit. We'll go get those things and go into 25 with the intention of being the best team in baseball again and finally winning that championship. I feel like the ownership stunted Dombrowski a little bit, and he tried to make do with what he could. Let's find some reclamation projects, cross our fingers, and hope they work. Well, none of them really have. And I think that's part of the problem.
Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
And I heard you say the other day that you actually watched the Major League Baseball draft, pretty much all of it.
Yes. The first round anyway.
You're the one.
Round.
Yeah, you're the one.
Yeah.
What did you think of the Phillies draft picks? They went really heavy on pitching and especially on college pitching. So are they hoping some of these guys can be ready very soon?
I'm pretty certain that their hope is Gage Wood, their first round pick out of Arkansas, the kid that pitched the no-hitter in the College World Series, 19 strikeouts, can potentially be available later this season. All the scouts sit there and say that he's got a major league ready fastball slider combination, or maybe it's curveball. The slider's his third pitch. Fastball curveball combination that would play right now at the major league level. He's 21, so he's a little bit older than most of the kids that you would normally be drafting. I think that they look at that and say, there's a way to help our bullpen from within with a guy we just drafted. So I think that that's something that to keep an eye on. The other thing that I took out of this with them drafting so many college pitchers was that maybe they're willing to give up some prospects who are pitchers that are already in the organization as part of what they need to do here at the trade deadline, because they feel these college level pitchers can get ramped up a little bit faster, get to the majors a little bit sooner than maybe a high school kid would. High school kids usually take 3, 4, 5 years before that they're ready to be thought about at the major league level. Whereas these college kids, maybe it's a year, maybe it's 2 at the most. I feel like that they feel like they can replenish that. So I do think that was part of the strategy going in this year. Was to draft college pitchers for that purpose, because I do think you're going to see some names go out at the deadline.
And I'm not a huge Rob Thompson fan, and it hasn't started this year. It's been for the last couple of years in a way that mainly that he handles the bullpen. Mm-hmm. And we got into a conversation with Paul Hagan, who's a fantastic Hall of Fame writer, last week. And, he said, why? And I said, well, first of all, when the umpire game that was so bad the other day, he needed to be out there defending his players. And he just does too much analytics for me that it's like he's running the game off the iPad. Paul's comment back was, maybe that's what he's being told to do. Maybe it's not a Rob Thompson issue. Maybe it's an organizational direction that he's being given. And man, if it is, I don't know where you start, but they're not going to win.
Well, let me just put it to you this way, Bill. And I think Paul's being very diplomatic by using the word maybe, because that's the way it is in baseball these days. Unfortunately, and it's not just the Phillies, it's rampant across the league. The computers run things. It just is. And so managers now are more about managing personalities. The in-game decisions are made long before the game happens. There's very little decision-making that happens in baseball that's gut instinct anymore. That's knowing what, and it bothers me because I don't think, or I know that computers cannot measure the human element, right? Like the computer might be able to look at numbers and spit stuff out at you, but it doesn't know how a guy's feeling that day. It doesn't know what's going on in a guy's personal life that could be affecting him, where his headspace is, what his headspace is like. Like that kind of stuff cannot be measured. And yet these teams, and it's not just the Phillies. It's the team that won the World Series last year, Los Angeles Dodgers, are one of the biggest analytics teams you will ever find out there. And they just won a World Series. So look, copycats are going to exist. And all across baseball, this is an epidemic. And when you look around the league and you see that as inconsistent as the Phillies offense is, it still ranks top 10 in so many offensive categories, and they're above league average in so many offensive categories. It shows you just how bad the sport is right now. And so that's concerning. So that's why I don't look, we're always going to disagree with a manager. Like I disagree with decisions Rob Thompson makes. I sit there and go, why did they do that? Why didn't they bat for this guy or whatever? But ultimately, I don't think a manager has much in the way of an impact on wins and losses as much as they used to. I think managers maybe one game here or there kind of thing. On the whole, they are just doing what they're told or doing what the computers tell them what to do, and that's it.
Oh, that's why I'm out of my mind in the seventh inning every night.
We got to squeeze in some Flyers talk, but I do
absolutely
one more baseball question, and that is, what's going to happen at the trade deadline? What do you see Dombrowski doing? Will he get a couple of guys for the pen? Might he get an actual outfielder who can hit? What's going to happen?
I will be surprised if they actually get an everyday position player. It would be outside the box thinking that they kind of do have to shuffle some things around and make it work, but I don't think that's happening. I think that they'll supplement offensively. They'll find a guy who can be more of a role player, kind of on the margins, get in there, play some of the time, but not all the time. I think that's going to happen. But I definitely believe that they're going to add 2 bullpen arms in my mind. I think that's what they're going to do. I do think that there's going to be some call-ups too from the minors in some capacity, whether it's Justin Crawford coming up, and he would, in my mind, replace Rojas on the roster. And then you shift Brandon Marsh over to left field, replacing Kepler. I think that's a possibility. I don't want everybody to get super excited about Crawford. What he's doing in AAA, he's not going to do at the major league level, right? Let's be honest. Guy hits in the ground ball 62% of the time. That doesn't translate as well in the major league. I think that's why he's not here yet. But I think the Phillies do want to see. They want to give it a shot and take a look. I wouldn't be surprised if they look before the deadline, if Crawford gets an early call-up, get a couple weeks look at him and see what's what. But no, I don't think that they're going to add that big bat. I just don't see it happening. More so because I'm not sure that there's a big bat that's out there, right? I mean, when you look around, like what teams are going to be trading, and if so, do they have an everyday player that you want to add to your lineup? I don't know that player is out there.
I didn't want to talk one more baseball question, but I will because Joe, our man Kid Camden, put it up there. Will a National League hitter hit 300 this year? 295 right now is leading the league in hitting. Freddie Freeman, I believe, is still the leader. Is anybody going to hit 300? And that's pretty bad.
That's rough. It's rough. Yeah. And it's funny. Like we talked about a stat on the podcast the other day. Do you know who so behind Freddie Freeman leads the National League in batting average against right-handed pitching? You know who's number 2?
Nope.
JT Realmuto.
I saw that on the game. I think they put that up on the game.
Second in the National League against right-handed pitching. Just can't hit lefties. But I mean, what does that tell you? Yeah. What does that tell you about the state of hitting in baseball today? It's crazy. It's wild. I don't think somebody's going to hit 300 in the National League. I really don't this year.
All right. Well, I'm going to shift our background to Flyers, orange and black, and we're going to talk a little Flyers with you. First of all, what did you think of their draft? A couple of big guys at the top.
Yeah. One thing I always say, Chad, is that, unlike football and basketball where we get to watch the kids play in college, we don't get to watch these kids play. I'm a hockey guy. I've been covering hockey for 26 years now. I still don't watch junior hockey. Like, I don't see it. I go by what scouts tell me, right? And say, this guy's going to be, Porter Martone. He's going to be Corey Perry. Great. I put that out there into the world. Porter Martone's going to be Corey Perry at the National Hockey League level. Do I know that? I don't know that. That's what people, in the know tell you, right? So you go by that information. That said, I thought that the Flyers really addressed a need that they had, which is, man, they are small. Man, they don't play with any physicality. And getting some guys here with some grit to their game, some nastiness, some size. I know everybody's like, oh, you got to be small and fast in hockey anymore. Look at the teams that win the Stanley Cup. Mm-hmm. They play big. They play physical. They play a heavy game at the right time. You need a blend. You can't be all one or all the other. You definitely need a mix. But the Flyers they have none of that. And so I think over the course of the next couple of seasons, they're hoping that out of this draft, 2 or 3 of these guys hit, and then they make it to the NHL, and you feel pretty good about it. So I like the direction that the Flyers are going in. I just worry that you might have to endure one more kind of frustrating season before you really get to see them be really be part of the playoff mix. I thought this was going to be a year where they could maybe be a playoff team, but their goaltending situation is not a good one. And I say it all the time. You can win a championship with okay goaltending. You can't win with bad goaltending. And right now, I don't think the Flyers have good goaltending at all. And I think that's part of the problem.
How'd you like the Rick Tocchet hire? Ant, is Tocc's a Flyer guy, but is that good or bad?
So here's the thing. I think Rick Tocchet's a good coach. I think Rick Tocchet is the kind of coach that you want to bring in right now because he's got a great reputation around the league. And players that have played for him love playing for him. So, we've heard Quinn Hughes out in Vancouver talked about just how much he loved playing for Rick Tocchet, right? Christian Dvorak, who the Flyers signed, one of the free agents they signed, played for Tocchet in Arizona, talked about how that was an important thing for him when he signed with the Flyers, that he wanted to play for Rick Tocchet again. So when you hear today's players say that they like playing for a guy, that's important. And that's important because you eventually are going to have to bring in free agents under this organization to make this team better. And the Flyers are $50 million under the salary cap for next year as of right now. So that's a big part of it. And I think that that's where Tocchet has great value. Do I ultimately think Rick Tocchet is the X's and O's coach that takes you to the next, takes you to a championship? That remains to be seen. That I don't necessarily believe. I don't necessarily, he hasn't been in great situations where he's coached. If Arizona, Phoenix, whatever you want to say they were when he was there, they weren't spending any money, right? They were bottom of the salary. They were below the floor for the longest. They put a floor in place because of what was going on in Arizona. So he didn't have much to work with there. And then in Vancouver, he had the one really good year where he's best coach in hockey, and then they fall off last year. And so, is that coaching? Was that internal strife because the two best players hated each other and they had to trade one of them in JT Miller? Who knows? So I think the jury is still out on Tocchet as an X's and O's coach, but I think the fact that he played the game and people respect him and like him as players, I think that does help the Flyers.
What'd you think of the trade they made last month before the draft? Ryan Poehling and a couple of picks to Anaheim for center Trevor Zegras.
It's a good trade for them because they bought low and it's low risk, high reward. So, you could, if you wanted to trade for Trevor Zegras a year earlier, it would have cost you a first round pick, which they didn't have to give up. So I think that Danny Briere did a nice job waiting that out. I mean, we had heard Anaheim wanted to trade him as long as 18 months ago. I've written about it many times, talked about it many times, and the Flyers finally got it done. Look, Trevor Zegras, for the first 2 years of his NHL career, put up a good number of points as a center for the Ducks. Did not really play well defensively as a center. Got burned through the middle of the ice a lot, was not good in the faceoff circle, was lazy in his own end. I mean, there's a lot of criticisms about the way he played center. The Ducks got frustrated, moved him onto the wing. That was a bad idea. It made his game worse. He was not cut out for it, and that's why they were looking to trade him. The Flyers want him to be back in the center position, but they're going to say, listen, we're going to allow you to be creative, but here are some non-negotiables, and these are things you have to do to stick at center with us. And so maybe the change of scenery works for him, and that's kind of what they're hoping for. They really think that there's talent there, and they're hoping that he changes his tune a little bit in a couple areas of the ice. And if he does, well, then guess what? Then they're going to have a nice player here, and it didn't cost them much of anything to get him.
Mm-hmm.
And how high is the bar for Matvei Michkov? Can he be a 40-goal guy on a consistent basis? And can he play better defense? Can he learn the defensive end of the ice?
Yeah, I mean, he's always going to have some, flaw there as far as the defensive side. He's never going to be a two-way forward, right? But that's not why you have him in your lineup. You have him in your lineup to be that guy who could be a 40-goal scorer going forward plus, 40-plus. I think you saw last year, and think about, Torts benched him a few times, he sat out a couple of games. I think for his first season as a rookie player to score 25 goals in this league, it says a lot, especially on that team in that situation, not having any talent around him, not really having a center who can feed him the puck. He's going to have better opportunities this year. I think he'll crack 30 this year, I think pretty easily, assuming he's healthy. But, yeah, I do think that he's a guy once you put playmakers with him. And that's the other thing. The Flyers' power play is a disaster, right? It's been awful.
Yeah.
So many of the best goal scorers in the NHL, they bolster their numbers because they score on the power play. The Flyers don't score on the power play. So Michkov scored 25 goals and had a good season without really getting much help from being on the power play. Make that power play a little bit better, you're going to see his numbers go up too. So, yes, I do think he can be a consistent 40-goal scorer in this league.
Anthony, we've used up all the time already somehow, but I want to squeeze one more thing in. A lot of people don't know this about you, perhaps. Like our pal Glenn Mack now, you are an actor. You've done a lot of stage work with the Players Club of Swarthmore.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that, and what's been some of your favorite roles?
I'm glad you found that photo. Right, that's from that's about 6 years old now. That picture. So I was a theater major in college, guys. That was what my major was. I thought I was going to be a Broadway actor when I left college, and I ended up being a sports writer. So go figure. The funny thing is that I got Glenn into this.
Wow.
It was, if you go back, so I've been doing it, I did it in college. I took a break for 20 years, had kids and everything else. And then I got back involved probably about 2012, doing some acting. I started directing in 2016. And I said to Glenn one day, I said, you know what, there's a role in this play that I'm doing. I think you would be pretty good at it. And I sent him the script. I actually showed up at his doorstep, knocked on the door, said, here, read this. And he showed up at the audition, and I cast him in the show. And from that point forward, now he does shows every year. So I love it. I love directing probably more than I love acting. I like having an idea of what something should look like and making it come to fruition. But I still had the last show I did was a fun one. We did the movie Network. You ever seen the movie Network?
I did, and I was there for the play.
So you came to see our version of it.
Yeah, I got to you.
Yeah, and I said, you know what? That was a pretty fun role to play because it's so outside of my norm. I stood up on stage and cursed and yelled for 2 hours, right? I mean, that's totally not me. So I got to enjoy that. I got to let a little bit of that anger out inside. So, but thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate you mentioning that.
Yeah. Well, and let's get back to the sports side. You have all kinds of things going on in your social media platforms and everything like that. Where can people find you?
Well, thanks, Bill. Obviously read my stuff on Pattison.com. I have two podcasts, one for the Phillies called Fighting Words that I host with with Bob Wankel. You can find that on, we stream it on Twitter, or you can find it on YouTube, youtube.com/@fightingwords. And of course, Snow the Goalie, which I host with Russ Joy and former Flyer Chris Terrian Bundy. That's also on YouTube. You can find it there, youtube.com/Snow the Goalie, at Snow the Goalie. So, definitely. And I'm on Twitter. I still say Twitter, I guess X, whatever. It's at SanFilippo.
Absolutely. Very good. Well, and we have used up all your time plus a few extra minutes, and it's been great. It flew by, and why did it take us 560 shows to get you?
Anytime, guys. Just reach out. I'm happy to join you. Happy to
do it again. Thanks, Anthony. Take care.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Take care, guys.
All right. Hey, that was good stuff, Chet. What do you think?
Excellent.
Yeah. All right, Chet. Philly Pressbox Radio is part of the STT Sports Network, as in Set the Trends. It's a network set up by our pal Phil Stifel, host of the terrific Trending in the AM show that you can find every weekday morning on the STT Sports Network YouTube channel. Check out Phil and be sure to subscribe to the channel. Phil's show is on there, and so is ours. Yep. You can find Philly Pressbox Radio there in addition to our own YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. Again, it's the STT Sports Network, setting the trends for what sports talk should be. Hey, Chet, tell us what's going on as we are dead middle of the summer at the Irish Rover Station House.
Yes, indeed. I love the Irish Rover Station House. It's in Langhorne, Pennsylvania, one of my favorite places to visit for a beer or two or three and some great food. The Rover has trivia every Wednesday at 7 p.m. So if you're watching us live, you could have been over at the Irish Rover playing trivia. Dinner specials Thursday through Sunday. Killer Burger Thursdays, too. Boy, Thursday's a big night because they also have Stella and Wings specials every Thursday evening. That's right. After 7 p.m. on Thursday, enjoy $9 wings and a big old glass of Stella for just $5. If you have yet to visit this place, shame on you. Get there. You'll be glad you did. It's the Irish Rover Station House on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne and on the web at irishroverstationhouse.com. And Bill, because we were just talking hockey, let's go with this tonight.
Prop gets it up through on the near side to Poulin. Broken up and then taken by Prop. Through into the zone. He's on a breakaway. Look out. Short-handed. Score! 3 short-handed goals and a hat trick for Brian Prop. Holy cow.
Hi, I'm Brian Prop, former Flyer. I'm on with Chet and Bill on Philly Pressbox Radio. Guffaw.
Awesome.
The proper.
Good stuff. Hey, Chet, before we get talking about the Sixers, because I'd rather not. Did you hear about the 14 and under Delco Outlaws softball team get ready to play in the Nationals in Jackson, New Jersey, starting tomorrow?
Yeah, I know our pal Dave, who happens to be a Cowboys fan. I don't know how that happened.
We try to excuse that.
Yeah. His daughter, I guess, is playing in that, and he sent us a little message. You want to post that?
Sure. There you go. There you go, Dave. If you take that star off, we'd like you even more than we already do. But good luck to the girls. And, hey, anybody in Delco, we're rooting for. That's for darn sure. Or anybody in the Delaware Valley, tri-state area.
Yep. Good luck.
Good luck. All right, Chet, it aggravates me to talk about the Sixers, heck, during the season, let alone talk about them in July. But rookie first-round pick VJ Edgecombe has now had about 4 different diagnoses on his left thumb. Whatever it is, he's not playing. Paul George is now injured. He's out with a left knee surgery. I thought it was going to end there until we got word today from your boy, Joel Embiid, that we are going to take it slow. We're not going to rush back because we've been rushing back for every injury since we've been here. The big crybaby's been rushing back. So now, let's say we've got 3 major injuries to our top. We'll call Edgecombe our 4th player. So with Maxey. So
right,
we've got 3 major injuries. I can't help myself.
Sit back and relax. Let me explain everything to you. First of all, you got to keep tabs on the situation. VJ Edgecombe, that was never anything major. In fact, he played last night. He played last night out in the Vegas Summer League against the Wizards. The Sixers won, by the way. He didn't play well offensively, didn't make a shot in the first half, but he ended with 15 points. He did struggle with his shooting, but he is healthy. He played some good defense. He had, I think, 6 rebounds and 4 assists. He will be fine. Now, Paul George, that's another story. Yeah, he is the guy stealing money from the 76ers. Well, he and Joel, I guess. But yeah, Paul George, who looked, so good 2 years ago when he was playing for a new contract. And the Sixers, of course, were the ones who were dumb enough to give it to him. Last year, he missed, pretty much half of the games. And now he's back and he has this thing with the knee. They say it was just a scope to clean it out. He may be ready, Bill, for training camp and the start of the season in October. They will update us closer to training camp. As for the big guy, Joel Embiid, yeah, he did a sit-down interview with ESPN, laid a whole bunch of things out there. He's still pissed about somebody breaking the news about last November's team meeting when Tyrese Maxey kind of called him out. And now Embiid says he's not going to go to any more team meetings. That's one thing. Secondly, yeah, he's going to make sure he's, really close to 100% before he comes back to play again, because too many times he rushed back. I'm with you on this, Bill. This is very, very frustrating. I don't care if the Sixers start off 19-1 this coming season. They're not going to fool me. I'm not going to buy in. I'm not expecting, deep playoff run, because something bad, something worse will happen along the way before we get to that point.
Well, he's the poster child for why not to have long-term contracts.
Yeah,
because,
that's for
I mean, they couldn't get rid of him. You couldn't. I don't know that you could buy him out. There's way too much money involved. And he just comes up with more and more reasons not to be that guy. And I mean, this team is stuck. This organization is stuck, and there's no way around it that I see. Even if you cut Paul George loose and did some sort of deal and you got somebody in return, you still have this contract. It's not going to go away.
Here's the big three who played, 14 games together last year. And I think it was actually just parts of games because, in a couple of them, one of the guys would end up getting hurt. So who knows if we'll see them on the court together much more than that this coming season. You just never know. They're tough to watch. They're tough to root for right now. One of the radio stations did a thing the other day on which coach you trust the most in Philly, coach or manager, and it was Nick Sirianni in a landslide. Which coach you trust the least, and it was Nick Nurse. And I don't know that it's all Nurse's fault, but he's just been handed this, roster of not a good roster of old guys, young guys who just don't jive, and then you got the injury issues with Embiid and George all the time. It's really frustrating. So it's not necessarily Nick Nurse. It's more Daryl Morey and the franchise in general that has people so upset.
Yeah, I think Nurse hasn't really had a fair shot here, with what he's had to deal with. So I don't know that I want to list those coaches myself right at this time, because based especially on our Rob Thompson conversation just a few minutes ago, if he's not the one actually calling the shots, that's a problem too. And maybe Nick Nurse, and we talked about this during the season where Nurse would come to the daily presser and look like he lost his first child because he comes to work and finds out half his team's not playing because they want to be hurt today.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. Now, there was another story about Embiid, by the way, the other day. Daryl Morey said that Embiid, who had arthroscopic surgery on his left knee 3 months ago, is on track to be ready for training camp in September. But the Athletics' Tony Jones pointed out the other day that while the former MVP has resumed some basketball activities, he is not yet cleared for full participation. And then we had this story from ESPN.com where Embiid says he's not going to play if he's not, close to 100%.
When I'm ready.
So
when
he's ready, then he's going to play because that's been too much of a problem in the past. So
I'm just hoping that they don't say anything else negative till the
Bill,
season
I'm
comes.
ready for the season here. I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm hoping they don't say anything else all summer about the Sixers, so we don't have to bring it up again. How's that?
Yeah, that's enough. I do want to mention one other thing before we get off the Sixers. During the broadcast last night, now I was watching the All-Star game, but you won't believe this, but I was actually DVRing the Sixers Wizards Summer League game, which I watched in full this morning. That's where I saw VJ Edgecombe.
The DVR actually would record that?
I did.
You'd be better off watching a bad movie.
Janai Broom actually looked pretty good. I think he had 14 points and 10 rebounds, a second-round pick. He could be a find. We'll see. But NBA TV posted this graphic during the show, and there it is. Oh, come on, stay up there. They have this as the projected depth chart. And here's some problems with this. Paul George, we don't know what his status will be. Embiid, we just talked about. Who the hell knows? Edgecombe, I don't know if he's ready to be a starter. They haven't yet actually signed Quentin Grimes, who I think they're probably overvaluing anyway, which leaves you Tyrese Maxey. And then below all those guys, you got a whole bunch of guards. You got some old guys. It's just a mess, Bill. And I don't know how they're going to – they may sneak in to the 7th or 8th seed. But why? Who cares?
Oh. You know what comes to my mind when I look at that list there, and your explanation was right on target? Train wreck. That's a train wreck right there. It's not going
to be pretty.
They're not making any playoffs with that. Let's do it. Because one thing that this conversation did do, it makes me hungry and it makes me thirsty. And what could be better than a summer of Phillies baseball and tailgating with the best tailgaters in Philadelphia? Bob Cavanaugh and the gang at Cavs Philly Tailgates.
Well, no disagreement from me on that front, Bill. Cavs Philly Tailgates has been cooking up a terrific catering business for some 35 years. Known best for their tailgate parties, Cavs is a 3-time winner of Philly Tailgate's Jack Daniels Great American Tailgate Party Contest and a past winner of the Philly Daily News Tailgate Award. Cavs also does corporate events, parties, you name it. Of course, Cav also hosts tailgates before all Eagles games outside the Link. And there will be various tailgates outside Citizens Bank Park this summer as well. I think I got a list of a couple of the upcoming ones. Yeah, I do. In fact, they're coming up later this month. There are tailgates before the Phillies-Angels game, one of them this weekend, and Phillies-Red Sox later this month, and ahead of an Orioles-Phillies game on August 6th. Of course, Cav will be hosting a tailgate outside the Link on September 4th before that Eagles-Cowboys season opener. Get details on all upcoming events at CavsCatering@Verizon.net. Cavs Philly Tailgates is the way to go. And Bill, we are now exactly 50 days away from that season opener that we just discussed. That brings to mind this guy, Gary Cobb, G. Cobb, who played with the Birds 3 seasons in the mid-'80s, 1985 through 87. 50 days, Bill.
Yeah. Well, it's getting to be time, and camp is getting ready to begin in defense of their Super Bowl 59 championship. I like the attitudes that I've seen in the different interviews and all that a team focused to pick up where they left off and not resting on their laurels, it doesn't look like.
Joe, you're smelling something else. It's not a random Chechena. I don't know what you're smelling, but
Scrapple's burning.
Hey, never a question about the attitude, Bill. That's for sure. I'm confident they will be focused. They will be ready to go come September 4th when the Cowboys come to town. Now, having said that, it's not going to be easy this season. I mean, the Birds lost a lot of players to free agency after winning the Super Bowl, and with every single opponent, focusing on the Eagles, they're going to have extra motivation trying to knock off the defending champions. Otherwise, it is going to be interesting, though, to watch and listen for news regarding rookies and other young guys battling for roster spots and playing time throughout the preseason and, into the early part of the season. It always makes for an interesting July and August when training camp and the preseason games roll around.
Yeah, well, I think this year is going to be a little bit different because offensively there's really no changes, right? We're gonna do something at right guard, whatever we're gonna do there. Maybe the offense is pretty well set. Don't think you'll see much of those guys in the preseason games. Now, the defense, there's going to be some battles with some of those open spots and a couple of young guys fighting for each one of those spots. But the way the league is set up now with minimal pregame or preseason games and minimal contact in camps, it will be interesting to see how these jobs sort out. And hopefully, we talked about this before, I think, hopefully we see better football across the league in the first 5 weeks than we saw last year.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about the shortened preseason and the fact that most teams, most coaches don't want to play any of the regulars or play them, maybe one series. They're just not totally ready come the start of the season. And that's why you do see some sloppiness. You see some good teams like the Eagles starting off, 2-2 and still trying to find themselves before getting it all together. But Bill, more disrespect for Jalen Hurts. Are you kidding me? As I'm sure you've seen, ESPN for a 6th straight summer surveyed league executives, coaches, and scouts to help the network rank the top 10 players at 11 different positions, from quarterback to cornerback and all positions in between. But we're going to focus solely on the quarterback position here because that's, where Jalen Hurts always seems to end up a little lower on lists than many folks think he should be, at least in the Philadelphia area. Yeah, he's the Super Bowl MVP. He's a champion. Jalen Hurts, though, is ranked, wait for it, 9th as far as the best quarterbacks in the league right now. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, even Lamar Jackson, they're fine in the top 4, whatever order you want to put them. But I got some issues with 5 through 10. How about you, Bill?
Well, yeah. I mean, first of all, Hurts is 26 years old. He's been to 2 Super Bowls already. He's taken his team to 2 Super Bowls. I actually got in this same discussion this morning with a bunch of sports guys. They had the same top 4 in whatever order you want to put them. And to get to 5, and all I hear is it's a huge drop-off between 4 and 5, whoever you want to put in 5. Here's the thing about Jalen Hurts that I think that he doesn't get enough credit for it. Unless you're inside the team, you don't know this. How many plays? Well, first of all, you have to execute the plays, right? You got to throw that dime to Devontae Smith in the end zone for a touchdown. That just didn't fall out of the sky. You put it right on the money. When he scrambles and he gets a first down or a touchdown, or how many plays is he checking off from a pass play to a run play to get Barkley in space, things that we don't know about. What's he doing? All we know is he's a leader. The team loves playing for him, and he's got a ring and almost had 2, and he's 26 years old.
And what is Justin Herbert doing ahead of Jalen Hurts? Herbert is always this guy who everybody says is so talented. Am I right? He has not won a playoff game yet?
No, right. And Matt Stafford and who's the other one? Just Jared Goff. I think they're up there mainly because they've been around a long time. Honestly, I think Baker Mayfield's better than both of them. Yeah,
he may be. And it should be noted that I think there were 60 to 70 guys surveyed in total. Not one of those surveyed had Jalen Hurts in the top 5. The highest he got on anybody's list was 6.
Well, that's why I hate lists. I hate lists because they're everybody's opinion and everybody's
they're
got
fun to discuss, though.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I'll leave it.
See if we're getting some comments here. Robbie Ellis, she doesn't get the Herbert love either, nor does Joe. Joe is still cooking something in his kitchen.
Joe just wants to trade Alec Bohm. He doesn't care about nothing.
Every week he wants to trade
Bohm, and it ain't happening.
PJ, just a list, and Hurts doesn't worry about any list. He goes out and proves those doubters wrong. Yeah, I think he uses these lists as motivation, which is a good thing.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing about Hurts, I think in Philadelphia especially, is he doesn't get that overwhelming support here in Philadelphia.
Well, I had him only number 4 on my list of current active Philadelphia athletes. So maybe even for me.
I wasn't meaning that, but you're right. Yeah. I think he doesn't get the respect even here in town that he should get.
Yeah,
Hey,
there's still a lot of doubters and, guys who say, yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's a leader. He can win, but he's just not in that elite status with the Mahomes and the Josh Allens and the Joe Burrows. I get that.
well, that's a matter of opinion too. Who's
It
got
is.
the rings? Show me the
Well,
rings.
You know what, though? I think I said this a couple of weeks ago. I think we're going to learn a whole lot more about Jalen Hurts this coming season because I think a lot of defenses are going to focus more on Saquon Barkley and stopping him and making Hurts throw more. And remember, he did throw more the first 4 games of last season when the Eagles started off 2-2, and he had, some interceptions and some fumbles. So we're going to see if he can stand up to the pressure. He certainly did in the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. He played great. So
Yeah, he certainly has pretty much in his whole career. He's going to be just
look
fine.
at his
Don't worry
one-loss
about it.
record. It's pretty damn good.
I wanted to throw this out here on a different subject. I told you all a week or so ago, whatever week it was, about my experience with Warren Sapp.
Yes.
And Warren didn't call me, by the way. We didn't clear that air up. But I had an opportunity over the last 2 days, yesterday, to work with Travis Hunter, Heisman Trophy winner from Colorado, now Jacksonville Jaguar, and Baker Mayfield today
How about
in
that?
Tampa. And I want to go the other direction and tell you 2 great kids.
Yeah.
And very, very mild-mannered, very soft-spoken, really just good guys. So I feel better after dealing with the dope now that I've had 2 good experiences with a couple young guys. Travis Hunter and Baker Mayfield, I'm going to root for the both of them except when Baker's playing the Eagles.
Awesome. Good to hear.
There you go. Hey, we had a great guest tonight in Anthony SanFilippo. Who's coming to Philly Pressbox Radio next week?
Well, Bill, with the Eagles training camp getting underway right about this time next week and the Phillies moving firmly into the second half of the season, we will talk about both of those teams.
Oh, Brookie.
Yeah. With this great guest, Bob Brookover these days writes for NJ.com, and it is always a pleasure to have him on with us. Brookie Bob Brookover can talk Phillies and Eagles, and it's always great to have him on with us.
Yes, it is. Hey, Chet, let's swing back to the All-Star game and the Kyle Schwarber hat trick last night.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that game, as we've talked about this for years. I don't watch All-Star games. They don't do anything for me. I did see the highlights this morning of the home runs. It was kind of fun. It really was. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And good for Kyle. And I don't know why you get an MVP award for that, but it is what it is. And good for Kyle. The only Philly ended up being there.
Yeah, because Zach Wheeler declined, and I guess they invited Sanchez or Suarez, one of those guys, and he turned it down. Suarez. Yeah, he turned it down.
Sanchez got his team bonus, though.
He did, which was nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ricky Batalico on the radio was saying today, people will look at the box score and see that Schwarber was 0 for 2, and yet he was the MVP of the All-Star game. And for some reason, they were listing the final as 6-6, not 7-6 NL like the National Hockey League does after a shootout. But whatever, the National League won, and it was thanks to Kyle Schwarber, who got the MVP award for hitting 3 home runs on 3 swings in that swing off, as they call it.
Well, and it's funny. I was going to bring this up, and Joe just brought it up there. First MVP since JC, Johnny Callison. You can't compare what Johnny Callison did in a real game against somebody taking batting practice and hitting home runs. I saw that early this morning. I was like, come on now. Let's be serious.
But he was the MVP for, his heroics in the swing off.
He was. He'll end up on some list somewhere up for debate.
Hey, one other thing, though, about the All-Star game, they tested the ABS, automatic ball strike challenge thing. I think it was used 4 times. And, it's really well done. I mean, they have an answer in 10 to 12 seconds on the challenge, and then they go on with the game. So
that's too long.
Too long?
How many times can you do it? You can't take 10 or 12. They just sped the game up. You can't slow it down unless
10 or 12 seconds. You're talking under a minute of added time for a game because.
Well, how many times are you going to do it?
Probably not more than 5 or 6.
Hey, as bad as these umpires are, you could do it 25, 30 times a game.
Well, I don't think you're going to do it on every single bad pitch. Like if it's the first pitch of an at bat, you're not going to do it. If it's, in the 8th inning and the count's 1-2 on a guy and you think you struck him out, but the ump thought it was a ball, then you're going to challenge it. I don't think you're going to challenge it every single pitch out of the strike zone. So I like it. I think it worked out great, and I hope they start using it in real games next year.
I'd like to see the layout of it. I like this. I didn't know I was going to like the faster games as much as I do, and that because I really like it. It keeps things flowing really well.
Yeah. Hey, I've got a lot going on, Bill. I need these fast games.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to get back to watching the Tony Awards or whatever, Academy Awards.
Never the Tony Awards, Bill.
Or whatever those
the
things are.
Emmys, the Oscars, Sixers Summer League basketball.
Jeez. I don't know what to think of you.
Hey, Bill, I wanted to mention today happens to be National Hot Dog Day. Did you know this? It is National Hot Dog Day. The third Wednesday of July happens to be National Hot Dog Day. And I think I mentioned this maybe 3 years ago on our show. I'm one of those guys who puts ketchup on hot dog. Does that make me a bad person?
There's just so much wrong with you.
I heard that before.
I don't know where to start. This is probably a good place to start. How did this happen? And why did your parents not straighten you out? You don't put ketchup on a hot dog.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because when I was a kid, for whatever reason, I decided I hated mustard. So I would never use mustard. And relish and that other stuff, forget it. So yeah, I was just a very simple kid who wanted ketchup on everything, and that's one of those things that has stuck with me for the next 60 years.
Maybe mayonnaise on your cheesesteak, anything goofy, pineapple on your pizza, anything like that?
No, I'm pretty basic with the pizza, nothing weird like that. But yeah, ketchup on the hot dogs, I apologize for that.
Well, I can tell you right off the bat, all these other people, we got Joe, we got Jane, we got RJ or PJ.
Oh, let's put them up. Go ahead, put them up.
Well, there you go. Chet is a disgrace. I don't think that has to do with the hot dogs. That could just be whatever.
Joe has called me that many times. Thank you, Joe.
Jane, I'm with you, Jane. PJ is telling you how it gets done. I'm not a sauerkraut guy. Robbie wanted to post something, and maybe she fell ill there because it went blank. She was trying to say something.
She got it. Mustard and raw onions. There it is.
Mustard. Oh, there you go. Mustard and raw onions. That's me, Robbie, me and you.
Yeah, I'm not an onions guy either.
How about Bob? Bob says, yeah, you're right, Bob. No doubt about it.
Well, I knew I was in the minority, but you know what?
You're in the no minority.
I don't care. Let me show it again one more time. Yum.
Oh my
hot dog ketchup. Our friend Kevin Reevey. We had Kevin Reevey on our show 2 weeks ago. He's actually on with Carl Henderson and those guys tonight. But he and Jack Fritz, who have the new book Ring the Bell, have a book signing this weekend, the Delco launch party at Dolan's Bar, where you and I were a month or so back. They will be there from 4 to 7, and they're expecting a good crowd. And hopefully Jack and Kevin will sell a lot of books. And I wish them the best.
Yeah. Hey, one final comment from Joe.
That burns my eyes.
That picture burns his eyes.
There it is.
Ketchup. Oh,
yummy. Hey, Bill, you're sort of retired. You're
sort of back for now for the summer. Yeah.
I actually worked at my old job yesterday. It was a grueling 7.5 hours that I had to put in. So grueling. Announcing business news, which was my full-time job for many, many years. Well, how about this guy? A guy who is 97 years old and still working, and I'm thinking getting paid a pretty decent salary. Johnny Gilbert. Johnny Gilbert is the announcer for Jeopardy. And yeah, he turned 97 on Sunday. So who is Johnny Gilbert? That's him right there. Happy birthday, Johnny.
And don't we have a happy 79th birthday to one of your favorite female singers?
Linda Ronstadt, 79, right?
Ronstadt.
That was 79. A couple days ago, or was it today?
Yeah, yesterday or the day before. And I saw that, and I was like, Linda Ronstadt, 79. That is impossible.
Yeah, 79. Whew.
I'm glad I'm not getting any.
What else? Do we have everything covered? I think we do. Let's wrap it up. Get out of here.
Let's wrap it up. And
I'm going to go have a hot dog.
Yeah, hold the ketchup. Let's thank tonight's special guest, Anthony SanFilippo, who was excellent, by the way.
He was.
Our sponsors, the Irish Rover Station House, Cavs Philly Tailgates, PPCC 118 Raz Room. For Jim Chesko, this is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll join Philly Press Box Radio next Wednesday, July the 23rd at 7 p.m. You can see us live on Facebook and on our Philly Press Box Radio YouTube channel and on the STT Sports Network YouTube channel, and listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all the others. High hopes, Philadelphia sports fans, and let's go Phillies.